So I used to love Blue's Clues. Like, I would have died for
Was that
Blue's
song
Clues.
from Blue's Clues? I just made a blue. I just made a blue sound. I was wondering. I was trying to pin down what it was.
What triggered it? Yeah.
I don't know why that was in the back of my head. Or did you make the sound first?
No, you made it first.
Okay.
Yeah. You just did it.
Cause sometimes I'll say something and it's because somebody else said something first.
Yeah. No, that was all you.
That was all me. Cool.
That was
just
files.
like deep in my brain somewhere.
It was like, I need to escape. Today's the day.
Blue was just like, bar.
But yeah, I have really fond memories of like watching Blue's Clues and just like being just sedated and like happy, like oh yes, this is the river of life. Yeah, I was like, oh, here's the mail that never fails. Saw like Blue's Clues live. Had some
Need more clues.
I'm fixing for clues.
I feel like that was
They gave me a big handy dandy notebook, and I was like, yes.
Who is they?
Oh, I went to I saw Blue's Clues live, so like I guess every kid got one. They like handed them out, but it was great. Had
That's
a big
awesome.
old crayon.
I think I had a handy dandy notebook too.
Impossible. Blue gave me the notebook.
So we're in the midst of Pokey Fusions.
Pokey Fusion Week.
Yep. What is your ideal Pokey Fusion?
My ideal Pokey Fusion would, I feel like everything that has included the skull of like a Cubone
Oh, that's adorable.
just makes it better. Like
Yeah.
like Cubone and Charizard, like
Oh, for
Cubone
sure.
and Arcanine, like that's just that sort of bone element of design is really. So there's a show on Disney Channel that's premiering soon called The Owl House, I think, and the
Owl, you said?
Owl House, yeah.
Okay.
It's on for Disney TV, and the main character is a girl, and she has this like little sidekick that pretty much it looks like a Cubone, but it just looks cute and awesome, and it's cool to see that like people that are creating shows nowadays are like our generation, our peers, roughly. So a lot of their inspirations are our inspirations, and it's fun to see them sort of seep through.
Yeah.
In what they create.
Also, who can hate dead mother skulls?
Little baby orphan
Pokemon.
Pokemon monster.
Or I think it's like the lore of Cubone is like,
He wears his mother's
but he's
skull.
also a baby Kangaskhan.
I don't know if that's canon.
I don't know if it is either.
It's my head canon though.
Yeah. But yeah, Poke Fusions this week.
Mm-hmm.
And
What about you? What's your ideal Pokefusion? What design elements do you like to see?
you know, is there a right answer for this? There are some nice ones.
No, it's what you like.
Oh, what I like? Yeah. I have no idea. I actually don't know what kind of Pokemon I like.
Mr. Mime.
No, I don't know. I never really thought about like the character designs of Pokemon, and I pinned down what is good about them, really, or what's the theme.
Sure. Gen 1 has a lot of design elements that occur a lot in a lot of the early designs. A lot of spiky, a lot of those triangle, angular eyes.
I love those, like Ivysaur.
But more so like Rhydon maybe, or like, you know, it's because Ivysaur kind of has, the starters have more personality in their eyes, but something like more of the monstery ones, like Rhydon, Arcanine, whatever, they have these little triangle eyes with the little black dots, basically.
Yeah. You're looking at the Pokemon dolls to see if they have.
Yeah,
them.
I thought you had Arcanine here. I forgot that was Thomas's.
Yeah, I mean we have the
card. Oh yeah, I think the birds have those eyes too.
yeah, Zapdos definitely has it.
Yeah.
They all definitely have like. It's actually interesting to look at them because
There's a small diversity in all of them.
yeah, Zapdos has like the triangle theme going on. Articuno has like a
More
round,
swoopy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then Moltres is kind of the same as Articuno, but flipped upside down and stretched out. Has like the
The flames and
yeah, true that.
yeah. What I really like about the Gen 1 designs is just like you feel the weight in all of them. They feel like they have anatomy underneath them,
Mm-hmm.
bone structure, musculature. They feel like they just exist in nature a bit more than some of the newer ones do. They definitely took the wheel and turned it towards cartoon toy design, and I don't know. I don't hate it. There's still been some great designs, but you can see that shift.
Do you have a favorite Pokemon? I've actually never asked you this.
I probably have a favorite in this moment, and it might be a different favorite later on, depending on
what is it now?
Recency. So the one that comes to mind right now is actually Noivern, and that's like a Gen 5 or 6.
Noivern.
Yeah, he's a dragon bat.
Yeah.
Based on sound.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
And like his design stood out to me in the later games for it had those vibes of like, oh, I could see this creature like existing in the wild, and like that's cool to me. Because as a kid, wherever I was, especially if I went to Puerto Rico or like anywhere that was outdoorsy, I would just imagine Pokemon playing in the forest. And the more the more sort of like grounded they felt in their designs, the easier it was just to see them in that landscape. So like I look at Scorbunny, I'm like, if I saw that in real life, or try to translate it, it would just look like a Space Jam like cartoon in real life sort of experience. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where my taste leans.
So wait, is it bad that Scorbunny? Like, is that on the spectrum of?
I think that's a personal thing for me. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just I acknowledge the design has shifted, or design sense has shifted.
Yeah, I just meant like, or do you like that element of being able to see it as a cartoon, or do you want to be able to see it as something realistic?
Yeah, I prefer to see it something a little bit more anatomically viable.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's because it just fits into the whole monster theme for me. Like, oh, these are monsters. I don't know. They're like animals, but they're crazy.
I think I don't know if I have. I think I can probably choose a favorite Pokemon from each gen. Mm-hmm. I think I can do that.
Yeah, I could probably do that too.
Like Ampharos is probably Gen 2 for me.
Pretty great.
You know who I love that everybody probably hates? Quagsire.
I feel like Quagsire probably has a bigger following than you expect.
He's
because I see why you like him for sure. He's
like,
great.
Just like Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I think Gen 2 is overall some of my favorite designs, though.
Oh, Gen 2 is probably my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, something with the flavor of Gen 2 is just super nice.
Yeah, it's just executed so well.
Yeah.
We've really got to play through Crystal Clear.
Yes.
We've been putting that off. But it's like such a good...
Yeah. Because a lot of the Gen 2 designs were conceptualized during the Gen 1 like creation phase anyway. So it felt more like an honest and true extension than, every other gen that has occurred.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just the nature of it. There's nothing wrong with it. But
yeah, I guess every Pokemon game. Yeah, even Ruby and Sapphire. Yeah, they all felt like their own
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for, but you're right, Johto or Gen 2 was
bonus round.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I think there's only 100 in Gen 2. 100 new Pokemon.
No, it's less than, it's 50 new, actually.
Oh, is it really?
It's like way less, yeah.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it takes it to 250.
We can look it up.
Yeah, sure. That way our listeners don't have to leave with questions.
Oh, no, you're right, 100 new.
Gotcha.
Okay.
At least 150. The Johto intro was great too.
Was that the You Want to Be a Master Pokemon?
No, it was do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do. Give it up, Johto. No, I mean Pokemon Johto, not give it up.
Give it up.
Give it up. Give up your dreams, Johto. It's a whole new world we live in.
I don't remember that.
No, it was in the movie.
I remember.
It was in the Entei movie.
Oh, but it's not the theme of the show.
No, it was the theme. They just did like the.
Oh, okay.
Like a movie version of the theme, which is great.
Okay.
It's a banger.
My favorite is the. So you want to be a master
Pokemon?
Do you have the skills to be
number one? Yeah.
We all live.
That was like a part 2 to like, because that was in the Lugia movie. I'm pretty sure.
I thought that was a theme song.
No, it was 2.
Okay.
But I'm saying like
I just don't. Apparently, I just don't know anything about Pokemon music
because
Pokemon in general.
every movie that got released at that time would use like a remix of the theme song. So like in the first movie when Bulbasaur, Ash is fighting like this dude with like a Machamp and a Rhyhorn or whatever, which he's somehow an Adon fan. He crushes them with a Pikachu, a Bulbasaur, and a Squirtle.
Just Ash things.
Just Ash things. But like, yeah, they have all these remixes of. I think I'm gonna listen to those later because they're great.
Yeah. Tweet with the hashtag Ash things, or sorry, the Ash tag.
Tweet tweet with the hashtag. Give it up, Johto.
Well, every time I say Johto, I just think JoJo.
Good. It's working. That'd be a nice. That might be a prompt of the future, but
JoJo style.
JoJo something, yeah. That would be.
No, that'd be great. Draw yourself JoJo.
Draw your stand or something.
Yeah.
Your stand power.
That's awesome.
All right, let's get back in order. What's happening?
I mean, we were talking about.
But yeah, that being said, Gen 1 also had. You can even tell, like, in how they do fur and stuff like that. It's more fine and detailed. It's less simplified. To be. It's almost like they make them specifically so that they can make toys out of them nowadays.
What's your second favorite gen besides Johto? Gen 1?
I think so.
I feel like
probably.
I love Johto. I think Johto gives me the best vibes.
Yeah.
But I think my real favorite might be Sapphire Ruby.
Yes, that one for me, I like it a lot for sure, and a lot of people love it. I know, like for tons of people that one is just like their standout. But
yeah,
something about it felt less comfy to me than Johto did for whatever reason.
No, Johto is as comfy as it can be.
Yeah. Something I think Gen 3 marks when they started to use different design elements that aren't necessarily bad. They just are markedly different than 1 and 2.
You know what it feels different to me? I just put this together actually. Okay, so what's in Johto in Gen 2? They have all these side stories like, oh, Red Gyarados.
Yeah.
Like, what's the significance of Red Gyarados to the story? Not all.
Other than like to show Team Rocket is like messing with Pokemon.
Not really too much, right? It didn't have to be Red Gyarados.
Right.
Like it could have been, but that was awesome.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like, oh, I don't know, it'll have some story element, but it just doesn't feel as good.
There's not a lot of mystery to things anymore.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I guess it's, yeah. So that's the difference to me. Maybe. I think it is. I think the difference is the fact that they're putting the marketing for it first, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There are a lot of factors that come into like why things probably feel different. I mean, 1, we're not kids anymore. 2,
that's true. I'm the problem.
I can't be wrong. It's the kids that are wrong.
It's the kids.
That, along with just the internet, we find out about so much about stuff early on. It ruins the mystery. And I do think they changed a lot of their format of like how they tell stories in game and stuff like that too. It's a lot more handholdy. It feels like.
Yeah.
It's pretty linear. There's not a lot of room for exploration. Like, what's this? What's that? I'm gonna solve this mystery here. Also, the gameplay style is very like. I love sprites because the lack of information helps you use your imagination more, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the more that they
when you spell things out in such a way, it kind of takes away
that little bit of like wind in your mind.
There's I've said this to you. I don't think I've said it yet, but the guy who wrote Toy Story said give them 2 + 2, but not 4.
Sure.
So like if you can just like, there's a character here. I mean, it's
I think that's why Undertale did really well because that character you play as, very nondescript.
Oh, for sure. Same thing with Link.
Mm-hmm. And
Same thing with Mario.
You can fit yourself into that role so much easier, and it becomes it's your mind. Your mind just uses that as the vessel, and I think that's
they still have that with Pokemon, but because you're still like a vessel,
right?
Pokemon.
But the image, like the art that they use, that's a full character, like designed out.
Oh, that's true.
So
I guess Chara, I think, or no, what's her name in Undertale, or his name? That's the thing. It's not even definable if it's a boy or a girl, which is great because it's like anybody can be this character, whether you're a boy or a girl or whatever you are.
Like in some cases, like a Spider-Man video game, like I want to see Spider-Man. I want to pretend that I'm Spider-Man for that instance. But for like a lot of other games, and Pokemon included, I just want to be me in that role. Yeah. And like the newer Pokemon games, like they have these designs, but they're not emotive. They have these deadpan faces a lot, as if that's supposed to be the way that you put yourself in, but they're fully designed. Like they have big pixel, they have full eyes, having just a pixel to look at makes it a lot easier to use.
Do you think that what was the Alola region, the Pokemon what versions? Oh, Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon.
Yeah. For those versions, I mean, maybe maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like trying to carry it with the story too much. Because even in Johto and Hoenn, or Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, even Gen 4, it's like pretty like hands off. It's kind of just like go to the next town and explore.
Right.
Whereas now, I guess I feel like it's been more like, oh, now you get to go to this place.
Here's this full-fledged, yeah. And sometimes they just take you there, and there's no opportunity to get lost, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it's up to them to decide to do their game like that, and nostalgia is definitely the thing. So I try to look past that as well, but
it's hard for me to do.
Yeah. That's our inherent bias, that's what everything that is built off of.
But even then, like, even if we do have that nostalgia bias, we're still able to look at a new game like Undertale and be like, oh.
Yeah, I think everything we've said is pretty objective.
Yeah,
for the most part, anyway.
Or maybe our age group just liked Undertale, and maybe Pokemon today is just a younger crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of young kids who like don't bat an eye and enjoy the Pokemon games.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's our generation that is looking at them so critically because we feel that they're ours.
Yeah. What is your thought? That's actually something that bothers me a little bit. People like have that like possessive mindset over somebody else's. Like I know
creations and stuff.
Yeah, like Pokemon, for example. People get like.
Yeah, so like I don't think it's wrong for people to have, their opinions about it. It's up, the studio. I'm glad that they tried new things. Like it makes sense. It'd be weird if they didn't. But people have the right to get upset. If things that they like to get changed, it's just how they get upset is the real way. They'll go tweeting at people threatening their lives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just acknowledge that it's part of the art and part of the business element of it too. And then hopefully use it to, I don't know, make your own thing. Not many people have that luxury, but if you could turn it into something.
That just it always bothered me because it's like I totally get like why people
get attached to stuff.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part too, because like the studios or whatever, they make it for people to use. So in that sense, once it's out there, it does kind of belong to the people.
Yeah,
otherwise, you would have made it in like a closed vacuum.
Yeah, John Mulaney said something really interesting, and I think he was. I think he was doing the interview with the guy from Queer Eye. Mm-hmm. And he goes.
Tan France.
Yeah, and he goes, I don't think that rock stars should crowd surf.
Right.
Like he thinks that there should be the barrier.
Right, between creator and audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that's blurred at all with at least Pokemon, but a strong believer in that kind of like separation as well.
Yeah, I think there should be a barrier there. I think the medium kind of changes, like rockstar to like performer to audience. I think that's like, yeah, I am this guy and you guys are here for.
Yeah, I guess it's more of an individual. It's hard to individualize a company.
Yeah.
Or even like a creation.
Yeah, it's
because it's once you actually no. So there's one side to this I want to bring up as well. When you create something and you put it out into the world, it's technically yours, but it's up to the interpretation of the rest of the world.
Yeah,
and at that point, it's not yours.
Right.
Like no matter how you intended it,
you can't tell people how to think about it.
Right, exactly. People are going to take it and interpret it how they feel.
Yeah. I think honestly what a lot of the argument for like changes in let's say Pokemon is a franchise that's been around for 20 plus years is that like it's one thing to be like, oh, let the creators stay true to their vision, but at this point it's not just the creators that are affecting what they put out. It's a whole company and franchise and business executives, and they're at the mercy of what the commercial revenue says or whatever, and they have like dates that they have to meet because they're such a big company that people tend to get upset because it's like, all right, are you making the game this way because you want to, or are you cutting corners because all these other factors are into play?
Yeah.
At that point, like, oh, you're messing with our thing because now you want to be this other thing. This whole industry element, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's some sort of like the recent one was the Sword and Shield national decks.
Right.
Like that one I can agree with. Or I think in that example at least people are upset
because it doesn't feel like it's a choice made out of like the goodness of the game.
Right. It's probably going to end up being a money thing.
Right.
They just want to make more money.
Or meet their deadline of like releasing one Pokemon game a year instead of like, hey, just delay it. We're cool with it.
Yeah. We'd rather have a higher quality game.
Right.
And yeah, I guess those kind of decisions really do come down to like that. I mean, we were talking about in like the first episode, I think, like the external kind of pressures of like what you're working on.
Yeah.
I guess. Although we did, so it is interesting though to think of a creation versus like a person, I guess, that's creating, like a performer, I guess is a better word. Because I don't know, I never really like thought about that distinction before.
Sure.
Like how people treat how they
the good or the service that is provided.
Yeah.
No, that definitely is like a rabbit hole of like how you weigh an experience versus an object.
Yeah, and who's behind that, and because when there's a performer, you see a person, and there's a more personality driven through that.
Yeah,
and
more empathy, because of it. Yeah,
but a lot of times, like something like Undertale, for example, there's miles of personality in that game.
Sure. But also, like the creator of that game, like most people don't even know their name.
That's true, or they don't even know what they look like, or
right. So that level of humanity is removed, which makes people easier to kind of be more mean about what they feel.
I don't think so, because in the example of Undertale, I think that we know exactly who Toby Fox is.
Sure.
Just because of how the thing that he created had so much depth
after
to
the
it.
fact, yeah. But beforehand.
No, for sure. But that's a distinction. It's like
right.
If you were to talk to Toby Fox, I think that he was able to portray more than he could describe in words through his game of who he is as a person.
Sure.
That's the way that I look at it, at least.
Interesting.
And I don't think it's necessarily like a lack of personality to me in a creation, but maybe it's more of maybe it's all about why you're creating the thing that you're making.
So I think too with like creating like a whole game, a whole story, a whole experience is something people latch onto way harder than like a stand-up special or
That's
a
true.
concert or a song, because
They sink their own time into it, and a lot of time usually too.
right, and the elements that stand out to them, they infuse like with their own life experiences, so it becomes a much more personal like thing that they feel a part of too, which is why I think people probably get more passionate over like games. Anything with a story, I think, is something that people are going to say, hey, this helped me understand myself better, therefore it's part of me now.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I think that
I know.
points to the emotional aspect of why
Yeah.
people can kind of be too much about it sometimes.
Yeah, I've never been able to do that actually. Like, play a game and be like, oh, that's like me.
Yeah, and
Or I guess it's been a while.
I think sometimes it's not that obvious either. I think it could just be a line of dialogue that you relate to, or that can parallel something in your life, or something super subtle like that. But just going through the journey and being able to like, even like the struggle between humans and monsters in the game, you could probably parallel that to like any sort of unbalanced relationship in the world, in your life, whatever. And whatever the story says about that relationship, you can attach to, that thing, even if it's subconsciously, and you might feel closer to it just because of that relatability.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why stories are awesome. That's why we make stories. That's like the whole oldest human craft.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true though. That like, how much more critical are people over John Wick versus, I want to say Star Wars, but Star Wars has too much fandom to really
Be fair.
Yeah, but something like that. Like people don't complain about the story in John Wick as much.
Right.
People enjoy the experience of John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's less.
People aren't like, oh, the story.
You're like, oh, it was fun. Like yeah. The more separated it is, it's like easier to be objective about it.
That's just an interesting observation.
Yeah, it's
to I don't know, to tie the story element to like that kind of like attachment and criticism.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if you do it right though,
mm-hmm.
then it's like, oh, that was amazing. Like it just goes such a long distance.
Yeah, that's sort of the juggling with juggling chainsaws of dealing with humans and just how emotional we are, and how you can hit it out of the park, but you step on their toes and they'll. Something about the chainsaw metaphor that I said earlier. Just it's tough.
Yeah.
But the fact that people do create and put themselves out there is
it's not easy.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's respectable. It's scary.
Yeah. Especially. Yeah, that is one other thing too. Like with Game Freak, well, they're a pretty small team, aren't they?
That's the thing. I don't know anymore. I know that like I was reading about how they slowly added designers more and more over the years. That were like now their design team is like I want to say like 100.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
But it started with like 3.
Okay. 2018, they have 143.
Okay.
Employees.
That's like employees across the board.
Probably.
Which is small.
I'm going to guess like a third of them are towards development.
Sure. And like that's small for a game studio? I have no reference.
Medium.
Medium.
It depends. Like something like Rockstar is going to be like a couple hundred. Or no. On game development, probably like 700 for Rockstar.
Gotcha.
But then there's teams like, I think like the Blizzard Overwatch team.
Yeah, those feel like entire like.
No, I think it's less actually.
Really?
For just for the game development side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Blizzard feels like it's a whole like mini Disney thing going on.
Oh, 100%. But I think like the development team for Overwatch isn't that like everybody knows each other. It feels like
Gotcha.
when they're talking on the dev team side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just gonna say that it's very easy for personality to get lost when you have a team big enough. But their team's actually pretty small.
Yeah, and I think...
but we're also not including Nintendo. That's the other thing.
Right, they probably have a lot to say in like...
Actually, no, there's 3 companies. It's Game Freak, Pokemon Company, and Nintendo.
But Game Freak is like solely the game element of it, I imagine. The development.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Because
Pokemon Company does other
actually,
stuff,
yeah,
like,
maybe they do have 143 developers then. If Pokemon Company markets, and then Nintendo is like an affiliate.
You're right. Just ports them to the system.
Maybe
advertises for them.
I really don't know.
Yeah, but still, it's especially when it comes to like cohesion of the generations and like when you have a bunch of different designers and stuff. It's got to be hard to like design that many characters and make them feel like they're part of. Because 5 and 6 and 7, I guess they all kind of blend for me because they all. Well, I do pay less attention to them now. That like I don't play them as much, but I think part of it too is they don't have like a thematic union that's very solid between all of them. All of them feel like they could kind of be blended together, and they would still feel the same. Of the later gens.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a consequence of their growth. I fully expect them to be done at like 4. I'm like, wow, they did a 4. They're really pushing it. All right, well, let's enjoy this while it lasts. Oh, boy.
I mean, but they keep selling.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, we can't.
That's the machine.
Hopefully, I don't know. Pokemon's never going to stop at this point.
I think it was straight up a quote from like the creator. He's like, Pokemon will go on forever, or something like really cryptic like that. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Which like
hopefully not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
it's like all my favorites, whatever, they'll still exist, and But
yeah.
Will adding it really warp it? But I don't know.
It'll probably be
like, but with this console, with this game, is the first time I feel like the company's ever received like public backlash from the fans about anything, which is interesting to see.
That's true. Even when like. What were some controversial things that they did? Like, not controversial, but just like gameplay controversial.
When Pikachu became an evil dictator.
That's right.
Nobody said anything.
And he invaded Poland. Yeah. Invented the Blitzkrieg method of attack.
That's his new attack in the games. He has to hold the special item.
There was the Mega Evolutions. Mm-hmm. That was kind of iffy. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think of the gimmicks, they're probably my favorite.
They're not bad. Oh, there's nothing. Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Like, how many were that? I don't think there were any gimmicks throughout any of the games that have been like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, weird is one, but like Z moves, I was very blah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of Z moves.
Yeah, I was like, sure. And now Dynamaxing is the new thing.
I kind of like that.
I'm like...
That's the Kaiju one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, if you just like Kaiju Pokemon.
I love seeing them giant, yeah. I love seeing them giant. I just wonder, like...
We'll see how it fits into the game.
Yeah.
Because that's got to be a lot of file space, right? It's not.
It's like shrug. I guess I'm just like... As far as it just feels like a gimmick, and that's fine. I just don't want their whole thing to be like, what new gimmick can we add to this gen? It feels less cared about, I guess.
Oh, okay. I agree with you. And I did start noticing that trend a little bit with like Z moves, and like they're trying to like keep adding stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's tough. I mean, I definitely agree. Like, don't blame them. Having to keep a franchise like that fresh.
But why don't they just add something new and then like they did it for Mega Evolutions for a little bit. They started Mega Evolutions. I don't know if they're still around or not anymore, or if they just cut them. I feel like they cut them, didn't they? From the lore. I
think they're not doing any more. Well, that's also the weird thing. Like with Ruby and Sapphire, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they talk about like they imply multiple timelines, and they imply that
that was them getting out of it. They're like, oh, but well, actually,
pretty much, yeah. They're like this Earth doesn't have asteroids or whatever. This one does, and in that one they destroy Deoxys or whatever.
Sure.
And
I guess if there's
his
going to be
crystals
any game,
create mega evolutions.
I guess if there's going to be any game, well, no, probably Diamond and Pearl would have been better
for time and space and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like Legend of Zelda. Like the story's connected, but not really. Like they don't make the games to connect a story.
Yeah, they all stand on their own.
I think for the most part, the Pokemon people make a story that makes enough sense to tie to the other games, but mostly a story that they can play around with and have fun in.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's their goal, and I think that would be my approach to it as well.
Yeah, just to have pieces that you can work with. You have Zoraldo, you have Ganondorf, and then Lonk.
Yeah.
And then you just combine them all together. And then, they have a dynamic, and then you just put them in the world, and they'll probably work in most worlds if you put that limitation on. Limitations are important.
Pokey Talk.
Pokey Talk, starring the Sketchy Boys.
The Sketchy Boys. Oh, do I like that better than SketchyCast? Hey, we're the Sketchy Boys.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely sounds like, oh, they're sketchy. Oh, but they're boys?
Thank you. This is our, I think, 4th episode.
Yeah.
So we're moving through these, having a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe for more, because we post every week. We aren't sure what day yet, because we haven't even released one yet. And
check out the Discord. We got a little gang over there, gang of hoodlums. Talking about art.
We got Sketchy Gang.
Yeah. Sketchy Gang.
over in the Discord. Everyone's really cool there. Everyone's really friendly. Post your art there if you have any. Post your work in progress. And speaking of works in progress, if you are looking for some things to draw, you can go on the Sketchy Monsters website at sketchymonstersart.com and check out some of that good stuff to see what we're doing for this bi-weekly prompt.
Why are you looking at me?
Bye. It's two separate
My
microphones.
name is Big Jimmy, and I'm over here. But now I'm over here, and now I'm over here.
Thanks, Big Jimmy.
Bye.